Do you know how many cells are there in an average human body? Have a guess. How many cells in an average human adult body? So obviously there are some with more cells than others.
20 million.
20 million? Higher?
50.
Huh? 50 million? Higher?
100.
100 million? Higher, higher, higher.
100.
Huh? 3 billion? Higher?
1 trillion.
Higher?
3 trillion.
Huh?
3 trillion.
Higher?
100 trillion.
100 trillion? Okay, so we're getting close. Scientists estimate and geneticists estimate 30 trillion cells in an average adult body. Stay with me now. How many cells? On average, 30 trillion cells in this little body of yours. Compared to the universe, you're not even a speck. Those cells are different types. You got the red blood cells, you got the white blood cells, you got the liver cells, you got the brain cells, you got all these different types of cells. 30 trillion. Then you have another type of cells called the bacterial cells. You have 38 trillion bacterial cells. So now that's 68 trillion different types of cells in your body. You have 200 different types of cells in your body. The brain by itself, Allah has created approximately 171 billion cells in our brain alone. The cells of the brain, my dear brothers and sisters, wallah, is very interesting. They never die. From the moment you are conceived by your mother, the brain cells, they are formed and they continue until you die. Just the brain cells. Allah knows why. There are 86 billion neurons. Do you know what neurons are? Okay, they're tiny cells inside your brain and they connect to each other. They have electric impulses. They're the ones that they are responsible for all the functions of your brain and your nervous system. It's why you're walking, why you're talking, why you see, why you speak, why you think, why you retain memory. Everything, brothers and sisters. I want you now to add on top of that, every day new cells are born and old cells die. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, He knows every newborn in the earth and in yourselves and in the entire universe, and everything that dies in yourselves, in the universe and in the earth. Do you know how many, just the cells, how many die every day and how many are born? And Allah knows each and every single one of them, their birth and their time. He had written when they're going to be born and when they're going to die. The scientists have told us just the red blood cells, 2 to 3 million red blood cells are born every second. How many? 2 to 3 million red blood cells are born every second. 2 to 3 million blood cells have just been born in your body. And the same amount roughly dies every second. Why? Because Allah creates a balance. Did you remember the verse I recited before? I repeat that last part. وَكُلُّ شَيْءٍ عِنْدَهُ. Who knows Arabic? بِمِقْدَارٍ. Every single thing is before His sight in a fixed and precise measure. So now your blood cells, your DNA, your sequences, your nucleotide, your genomes, everything is in precise measure. The white blood cells and your liver cells, each also has a lifespan. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows each one to keep you living, O servant of Allah. Brothers and sisters, let me go further now, even smaller than the blood cells. Inside our cells, there is something called DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA. It's what makes you up. How small is the DNA, do you think? Too small. I'll tell you a measure for those of you who know a little bit about science. They are 2.5 nanometers in diameter. So they're actually strands. DNA is strands. They're like strings. And they've got a thickness like the hair. Their thickness is 2.5 nanometers in diameter. I'll tell you what that means. A human hair, you take one hair out. See how thin it is? That human hair is about 100,000 nanometers wide. How many nanometers is the DNA? 2.5 nanometers. How many diameters is your human hair? 100,000 nanometers. How small is the DNA now? How much thinner than your hair, which is 100,000 nanometers? And the DNA strand is 2.5 nanometers. طيب, I haven't stopped there. What about the tiniest stuff that's inside the DNA strand now? The nucleotides, something called the mutons, and so on. Even smaller. Even tinier particles than the mutons is called the protons. Even tinier. The DNA inside each cell is longer than you are. Each DNA inside each cell, one strand, if you were to take it out, because they're like coils. It's like bringing a string and you coil it together, you coil it, and keeps coiling upon coils. That's how the DNA looks like. If you were to take it out and make a string and you put it from the floor upwards, it's taller than you. One DNA strand inside of a cell. That's 2 meters tall, one. Are you still with me, or have I lost you? There is even the tiniest thing ever discovered is called a quark. A quark. It is 10,000 times smaller than a proton. Proton, how small is it? Smaller than the DNA? It's smaller than a nucleotide. Proton is one of the most smallest things. There is a quark which is 10,000 times even smaller than the proton. The DNA in every single cell stretches out. If you were to take all the DNA in all the cells of your body, every single DNA in your body that Allah had created, in every cell of your body, and you stretched them all out and you tied them together, how far do you think they'll reach?
It will go 2 times around the world.
Brother's saying they will rotate twice around the world. Longer. You, just one human being, this brother over here, if I took all the DNA out of his body, from every cell in his body, and put it all together and stretched it out, how far will it reach, brothers and sisters? This is the DNA which makes you the way you look. You, a human being, all your features is made of this DNA. How far has Allah put codes in there? How far can it reach? Brother is saying twice around the world, higher. To the moon, higher. This is nothing, moon's just here. That's like going from here to Coburg, to Broadmeadows. Are you ready to hear it? If you were to take out all the DNA strands from an average human being and tie it from one end to the other end, stretch it out, my brothers and sisters, it will equal twice the diameter of our entire solar system. Twice. You know our solar system? You know our solar system, brothers and sisters? How big is our solar system? Tonight, I'm going to do your heading. How big is our solar system? We have to appreciate Allah's knowledge and His power, my brothers and sisters. The solar system is 18 billion kilometers wide. 18 billion kilometers wide. The DNA strands are twice that size. 36 billion kilometers long. That's how DNA is. This, my dear brothers and sisters, is what Allah says. This is what makes you up. This is just the human that Allah created. He made you out of this little stuff. that is larger than the entire solar system by twice, my brothers and sisters. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We have truly honored the son of Adam. And then Allah says in the Quran, لَخَلْقُ السَّمَاوَاتِ أَكْبَرُ مِنْ خَلْقِ النَّاسِ. The creation of the heavens, the skies, is even greater than the creation of that little human being. My brothers and sisters, let me go a little bit further for you about something. Those people who don't believe in God, the atheists, ask them this question. Ask them this question. Inside of us we have a genetic code, the code that gives you your form, which makes up the human being. Scientists and geneticists have written the codes in books. They compiled more than 175 volumes of books. How many volumes? 175 volumes of books. They equal 262,000 densely printed pages. 262,000 densely printed pages. And every single code of the human being is written in there letter by letter. 262,000 densely printed pages, letter after letter, about the human genome, how the human's code, genetic code is. About 500 of them make us all look different. The rest of it is all the same. Now here's the question, brothers and sisters. Imagine taking just a few of those letters out from when you are inside your mother's womb.